What's up, everyone? To all my subscribers, hello po. Wow, subscribers. My name is Rai, or Mr. Romeo, Sir Romeo to my students, and I have another vlog today. Alright, let's get to the point for today's vlog, because I have been receiving a lot of messages from Filipino teachers who wanted to teach in the US and also in China. As you all know, I used to teach in the US for some years, and I decided to move here in China, which I think I made the right decision, one of the best decisions I made so far. There are a lot of pros and cons that I need to consider, and I think it's kind of working really good. So I'm going to tell you what are the pros and cons, comparing it with, let's say, compensation, transportation, proximity, students, food, etc. We'll talk about that today. So everything that I'll be telling you right now are only based from my experience, since I've worked in the US and now working here in China. And I've also listed down some things that we need to talk about, like comparing it in the US and also in China. I mean, don't cancel me, because I'm just going to give you my opinion. And it's also going to help you out decide, will you take the offer in the US or in China or maybe other countries? It's up to you. Let's get to it. Number one is the compensation and benefits. That's something that you need to prioritize before signing a contract. I guess what I'm getting here in China is more than what I'm getting in the US. It depends on the city and also the type of school. There are private schools here, public school, and luckily I'm in an international school. They gave me an offer which is higher than what I'm getting in the US, plus the benefits. Everything is actually better. I have free food, which we'll talk about later. Also, if you're an English teacher in the Philippines, you're gonna have a hard time getting a job here in China, because most cities here in China prefer someone who is a native English speaker. Y'all know that in the Philippines we're not a native. I mean, it's our second language. Yeah, and cities would not give you a work permit unless you're a native English speaker. That's how strict they are. I think that it's even harder to get hired here in China compared in the US because of their requirements. They're not discriminating. It's just that that's their standard, that's their preference. But some teachers, they get hired even if they don't have international teaching experience, because they would look into that if you have an international teaching experience. Yeah, if you have really good English accent, apart with the native speakers, I think they'll hire you. I think. And if you have IB curriculum and Cambridge experience, that's actually a plus. Of course, I'm not gonna tell you my compensation, but I'm getting a decent, very decent amount of money, which is, yeah. Second is housing allowance, or the type of house that you live. When I was in the US, I used to live in a big house with like 6 bedroom, I think, and teachers would occupy each bedroom, and you have common bathroom, common kitchen, common living room, dining room, and all that. So you share that with them, and yeah, you're paying. Actually, it was very expensive at that time. One of the reasons why I was like, I don't want to live here because it's just expensive. But here in China, I have a housing allowance. It's a good amount. I don't pay for anything here because I have a specific allowance every month, and utilities and everything, it's reimbursable as long as it's within your housing allowance. I'm not going to tell you my housing allowance, but yeah, that alone can save you a lot of money, because when I was in the US, you get your salary, and then the payment, your rental would be coming from your compensation. I mean, from your salary. So the school doesn't provide housing allowance, so that's going to be an added burden. So I'm like, that's one of the considerations I made, because here in China, I don't need to pay for anything. Cost of living, number three. Comparing it in China and US, cost of living in the US is just expensive. Yeah, the salary you get every month, if you convert it to pesos, it's a lot. as they say, 10 to 12 months of salary of a deputy teacher in the Philippines is 1 month in the US. Yeah, I get that, but it's expensive. Like, you have dollars, you spend it there. You have your bills, your credit cards. I got a car at that time, so I pay for insurance, and everything is just expensive. And you feel like your salary, you're just living paycheck to paycheck, and you don't get to save a lot. But here in China, I'd say it's like 50 pesos to 100 pesos more expensive than the Philippines. It's but sometimes it's actually almost the same. The cost of Starbucks here is almost the same in the Philippines. Maybe like 50 pesos more. But it's just cheap. I don't even cook here. I've been here for 2 months and I've never cooked anything. And yeah, I have my rice cooker. I only cooked rice. I think the rice since I came here is just cheap here. I can just buy anything outside. I love it here. I love it here in China. For proximity, the location. One of the reasons why I moved here is because it's so close to the Philippines. Direct flight would only be 4 hours, I think. But in the US, it's gonna take you even more than 24 hours to get to your destination, which is too much. And it's also expensive. You need to have like 1,500 for round trip ticket from US to the Philippines. But here, last week it was Mid Autumn Festival, so we had like 1 week off. So I just went book a ticket to the Philippines, and I went to the Philippines for 1 week, and it didn't cost me that much. It's heaven. That's why I like it here. Number five is your transportation. When I was in the US in Casa Grande, there's no buses, trains, cab. You only take Uber if you want to go to Walmart. And I had to get a car at that time, so I paid for my car and for my insurance, which is a necessity. Cars in the US is a necessity. Unlike here in China, metro station is like 5 minutes walk from my building. There's a lot of bicycles, and you could use anytime. Just scan it and you could use it. My school is like 15 minutes walk from my building. 5 minutes. The Uber that we have here is called Didi, Didi. It's very cheap, so I don't need to get a car. My friends here, they were asking me if I want to get a car. I'm like, no, I don't want to get a car because why do I have to? It's very convenient here. Number six is food, bro. In the U.S., a lot of fast food chains. Had kidney stone. When I was in the US, I was hospitalized. I'm not saying it's because of the food, but there's not much of variety of food that's closest to my taste buds, I'd say. It's also expensive, like McDonald's, Burger King, and all that. It's not healthy. But unlike here in China, there's a lot of noodle house. We're Asian, so it's the Asian Chinese food is very close to Filipino food, so you would really appreciate it. I don't know with your, it depends on person to person, but mine is I like it here. There's a lot of options, and it's also cheap. You can get it anywhere, 7-Eleven or what. Food is, I think it's healthier here, I'd say. I mean, don't cancel me, I'm just saying. Number seven is the top of students. Don't get me started with that. But yeah, in all fairness, I had a lot of students who got closer to me when I was in the US, but there are still some who would really test your character. Based on my experience, you would pretty much spend most of your time with classroom management, behavior, attitude problems, and everything. Unlike here in China, I mean, I don't want to elaborate on that much, but here in China, I think my efforts are well reciprocated by my students. I see their efforts. They're more disciplined. They're very responsible. If you give them homework, they'll do it. It's nice to bring back your passion because I kind of lost it sometime. But right now, my passion is coming back, which I'm really happy. I'm very passionate. I feel like I want to see my students every day because it's nice to talk to them. It's nice to teach them because you see that they are willing to learn and they would give the respect that you deserve as a teacher or sometimes as a person. Awesome here. Number eight is the ticket allowance or the airfare allowance. Here in China, I have a decent amount of money as my annual travel allowance. I could use it depending on how I like to. In the US, we don't have travel allowance. If you want to go out, travel to states or out of the country, you need to pay it from your own pocket. But here, I have it. Number nine is the weather climate here in China. They also have four seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall. Same in the US, so there's not much of a difference. My winter clothes back in the US, I brought it here because winter is coming in like in weeks from now. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, there are places here where there's snow, like in the US. So pretty much the same. Number 10 is the language. I think that one of the things that I struggle, yeah, of course, in the school, everyone speaks English, but when you go out in the public and like you buy stuff from 7-Eleven for any store, people here don't speak English, which is always a struggle for me. But people who are very nice, they're very accommodating. If they found out that you don't speak the language, they would really do their best to help you out. They would get their phones and do translation, which is really awesome. Sometimes they think I'm Chinese because I look like, well, I'm Asian. You only just say Timbudong if you don't understand them. But yeah, that's a bit of a struggle. But I'm actually trying to learn how to speak Chinese because I want to live here for long and I want to learn the language. And sooner, I'll be fluent, I think. Number 11 is the visa type and expenses. As a J1 teacher, I had to pay 2,500 to my visa sponsor for them to process all my papers. And every year, sad part is you need to pay a renewal fee. It's a business. I think I remembered I paid like 1,700 and they're asking me to pay this year, but I'm like, I don't want to pay because I'm not renewing. It's like you saved a lot of money for the entire year, and part of that or most of that, you'll pay it for the renewal fee, which I don't know the reason why, but yeah. That's why I'm like, I don't want to do it. But here in China, you just have to renew it, but this school will cover all the expenses, so you're gonna be okay. Number 12 is the ability of your family member to travel, which I included specifically because when I was in the US, I kept traveling to New York, to different states, and I want to bring my family for them to experience it, but it's going to be impossible because the process in getting a US visa is very difficult. But here in China, my family, like all of them, will be coming here on December for the winter break so they can see snow. It's easier as long as you have the proper documentation. And getting a ticket will be also cheaper because it's just close to the Philippines. So I'm a happy person. It's easier to get your family to go on vacation and all that. So plus point for China. Well, just a heads up, if you have plans of coming here, social media like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, TikTok, they're all banned here in China, but there's a workaround for that. Anyways, this is just it. So I think those are the things that you need to consider if you want to come here in China. If you want to know how to apply for a teaching job here in China, I posted a video on how to land a teaching job here in China. Just check my channel. If you also wanted to teach in the US, I also made a video on how to teach in the US. Just check that video. If you have any questions or concerns, just comment it down. I'll be more than glad to reply. If you want me to put up another vlog, just let me know also in the comment section. I'll find time to make that vlog for you. And I think that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again in my next vlog. Shout out to all my students, my grade 8 homeroom class, my 7A and 7B, all my co-teachers. Hi. I'm loving you here. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.